And now, here's the host of the Recovery Alley, Jeff Neenstead.
Hey folks, happy Thursday to everybody. Jeff with Southwest Tow Operators Recovery Alley. I just want to take a minute to thank a buddy of mine, Ron Parrish, who's with Tow Force Net, for the kudos on the show, the last show, Collin County Recovery. Thank you as well for acknowledging us. And man, I tell you what, we've really got a good show tonight. I want to say thank you to Ron Moore with the University of Extrication. Southwest wants to say thank you for all the great information you're fixing to bring us and that you're sharing with us. And without further ado, let's go on and bring the man himself in, Ron Moore. Hey, Ron, how you doing tonight?
Hey, buddy, doing good.
Man, I tell you what, me and Ron have been talking, and this man right here has dedicated his life to firefighting and fire rescue and teaching the new firefighters how to do it. Me and Ron were discussing something the other day, and I told him, his job as an older firefighter is to make a younger firefighter old. And I think he's doing that. His resume is crazy. Began firefighting in 1969 in Southport, Pennsylvania. Moved into New York City firefighting. And then he finally found his way to the great state of Texas in 1993. He started being an instructor back in the 70s, 74. Also, Firehouse Hall of Fame inductee 2021. Congratulations on that. I worked in Plano, McKinney Fire Department, Carlton. This man's been everywhere doing what he does, and he does it very well. I think you're currently teaching traffic incident management up in Arlington and fire rescue classes at Texas Community College in Fort Worth, correct?
That's correct. In fact, today is day one of a 2-day program on traffic incident management with multiple disciplines. I have DOT people. I have North Central Texas Council of Governments people. I have lots of law enforcement. I have a bunch of fire service people. So it's fun to teach things that I'm familiar with to multiple disciplines to hear the different opinions that might come in.
And our subject this evening, electric vehicles. It's like you said, the energy revolution is coming, and it's not going to wait for us. Personally, it's like I told you, I don't think we're ready for it, but that's why we have people like you to teach us how to be safe. When it comes to EVs, there's just a lot of unknowns, and we want to talk about. Let's explain EV, the emergency response guides, the rescue sheets. The challenges when it comes to traffic incident management.
There's a bunch of terms, Jeff, that I believe that tow operators, personnel that are responding to incidents should be aware of. And two of them you mentioned, the rescue card or sometimes called rescue sheet, as well as the ERG, emergency response guide. This is something that tow operators at the incident scene should have because they are documents from the manufacturer that exactly tells you responders how to deal with the pride and joy vehicle that they put together, the Tesla or the Ford or the Hyundai, whatever it might be.
Great. So you talk about these rescue sheets and these emergency response guides. If an operator wanted to, is there some place that he can find that, or is that something we're going to have to get from the manufacturer?
You can get ERG information from the manufacturers, like Tesla.com or Ford.com or whatever.com. Or there are a couple of websites. NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, NFPA.org has a website that tries to accumulate a lot of them, but there are so many new models of hybrids and electric vehicles coming out each year that the websites really can't keep track of it. So one of the techniques that I see responders, tow operators, as well as fire and police doing is trying to keep up with the ERGs is electric vehicle apps. There are many that are available. Pretty much, they give you a quicker, shortcut way to get to the ERG, which in some cases here might be 60 pages. What New York City and NFPA calls a quick response guide is the Cliff Notes version. That's what in Europe they call it the rescue card or the rescue sheet. So that the ERG or the rescue card, among one thing that it shows fire responders is it's essentially a schematic, a skeleton of the car. Where is the high voltage battery? Where is the low voltage battery? Are there any cutoffs to that particular vehicle? And then also airbags, stored gas inflators for airbags. All this is identified, and in many of the apps, it's even interactive. So I would say that if you have an organization that turns around and says, we are not allowed to have any Wi-Fi access at any call that we go on, all I do is, okay, I understand that. However, you will be left behind because you're going to need to know from the OEMs, from the original equipment manufacturers, you're going to need to know what they say about how to deal with that particular incident.
Yeah. So, let's go over some stuff right now. We've got some challenges when it comes to EVs. When it comes to traffic incident management, there's several different areas that we can discuss. We've got, EV that's disabled in the roadway. We've got collisions that involve extrication, which is your forte. And then, EVs that end up in the water and what happens when they catch on fire.
Right. And unfortunately, Jeff, for this particular program, we have a lot more questions, a lot of what ifs to present rather than solid answers because it is an evolving topic. There are a lot of very, very talented individuals, both in all kinds of different disciplines, as well as organizations that are currently researching it. Recently, here in Plano, which is north of Dallas, we had an electric vehicle on charge in a residential garage, and the fire department and the homeowners happened to be awake, so they called the fire department. The fire department used what was their protocol to literally pull the in this case it was a hybrid, unplug it, pull it out of the garage to deal with the hybrid situation in the driveway, and then to deal with the structure fire, the house filled with smoke, yada yada, and that end. So there are ways that have been proven, and there are ways that are still experimented. So there are some no cost solutions which we like, obviously, and there are some $30,000 and $40,000 solutions that are maybe European like and are just now making their way to the United States.
So real quick, everybody, I'd appreciate anybody to like and share the show. Remember, we're here to answer questions. If you have a question, go on and throw it in. See if we can get an answer for you. Hey, so my biggest challenge, and we spoke about this earlier, is and this is why I think we're not ready for it. Some of the emergency services that I work with, I don't think they're there yet. I mean, I don't know how much training they've done, but when it comes to these EVs with all the unknowns, I spoke to you about this earlier. When we were talking about the hybrids. A lot of people coming in, they tow vehicles two at a time, and my guys, I will not allow a hybrid on the wheel lift with two wheels on the ground being towed behind. You kind of gave me the short answer. It's so I'm right by not letting my guys do this, but I see people doing it every day, and I have had people tell me there's no way it's going to catch on fire. Your answer to me was it's pretty much brand specific. So err on the side of caution when you hook up that hybrid vehicle to your wheel lift and tow it down the road with two wheels on the ground, correct?
That's correct. Most of the organizations that have already thought their way through this if they had a light duty, not a rollback or car carrier, if they had a light duty to transport the hybrid or the electric vehicle, they would use wheel dollies instead of having the wheels that would be touching the ground.
Correct. And some of the other challenges that we have is identifying these vehicles, and terminology and stuff. Could you share some of the terminology with us?
One of the issues is identification. You talked about having some of your members, tow operators that want to attend training. There are just a ton of training that's available, some of it online, some of it face-to-face, some of it free, some of it maybe $75 a person. I heard of a department last week that did a program. They charge almost $400 per person to be at the program. So there is a bunch of training that is out there. One of the issues in it, they all start with identification. Even the most basic consideration is exterior identification. So you have a tow operator that has arrived at this service call, broken down Tesla or Mustang Mach-E or F-150 Lightning that's on the side of the road. So your tow operators, like all responders, law enforcement, police, fire, rescue, they need to realize that what we now use for the internal combustion engine vehicles is badging. It's the exterior. It tells you that it's a Nissan Altima or whatever it might be, but badging on electric vehicles per se is a corporate badge, like a Tesla T at the rear and maybe the Tesla T at the front on the front hood. That's it. So there is nothing exterior that is required of any electric vehicle manufacturer to tell personnel outside what actual make and model the vehicle is.
I've noticed. I got a question for you here. Just say I've noticed it. The blue on the car logos, identifying the hybrids and stuff. Is that's something they're doing?
Yes. What we call the blue shadow. It was started by Toyota. It is totally at the whim of Toyota as a manufacturer. Unfortunately, in the 2023 model year, Toyotas and Lexus, and remember, we used to have Scion that has now bit the dust. So all those vehicles use the blue shadow at the corporate logo at the front, at the corporate logo at the rear. The blue shadow was a telltale indicator that there's something unique about that vehicle. And if it was a Toyota at that time, it was more than likely a hybrid.
All right, I've got a question real quick from David Mason. He says, as someone who's been in the industry for as long as you have, what is your thoughts on the evolution of motor vehicles and the direction in which it's heading?
I try to follow up on the vehicles themselves are getting more complex, more technical. The electric vehicles, which is kind of what we're talking about, you have to realize that everything on that vehicle, it's essentially an electric vehicle. Everything works electrically. Doors, windows, whatever it might be, everything is electric. So I see the technology of the actual vehicles evolving. As far as trends, the latest problems or challenges for responders is vehicles charging, whether they're in a driveway at a residential home, a setting, or whether they're in the garage, or whether they're in a parking garage, or whether they're outside in a parking lot at a public charging. So charging has become an issue now among the industry, the authorities that really are good at this. I understand that, and there are a lot of departments that have already said this is how we're going to handle the electric vehicles that are on charge. There is no standard way to do it. There is no requirement on how it needs to be done or should be done. There's essentially no guidance for the responders that are dealing with plugged in, on charge electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles. So the vehicles are getting more complex, and the issue of the reuse of the batteries is getting more and more a problem, a challenge.
All right, great. We're gonna step away for a quick commercial break from one of our sponsors, Traxxero. We'll be back in just a moment with Ron Moore with the University of Extrication.
Hey, this is Will Farmer here from Traxero, Vice President of Impound Yard Solutions. Traxero is a software company where we build software to make it easier for towers to make more profitable business. Traxero is a software company. We build software to make it easier for towers to run their business, be more efficient, and become more profitable. We have a towing management solution with 5 different softwares that we run there, from Dispatch Anywhere, TOPS, Omadi, Into, and Tracker. We've built a fully integrated suite of products to be able to accept payments through that system, going through budget GPS and tracking with cameras. And the business continues to integrate all the way through lien and mail processing. And then finally, we have an auction solution. Online auctions, live auctions, we're able to facilitate those for customers. And we're really proud to be sponsors of the Southwest Tow Operators. We've had a great time here at the show. You can find us online at traxero.com. We'd love to talk to you more about our software.
Hey, glad to have you all back again. Remember, if you're watching, go on and like, share, and if you've got a question for Ron, go on and let's get it in there and see if we can get you answered. A lot of things people don't realize, Ron, is these Class 3 to the Class 8 trucks, the commercial vehicles. They're already on the road. They have essentially driverless electric commercial vehicles with a safety driver in them for now. So let's talk about. I'm going to think it's about a 34,000 pound guided missile that could go off at any time going down the road.
Well, you can tell your employees that within their career, they will come upon a disabled electric vehicle that is a truck, whether it's a van, Class 2, Class 3, Class 4, up to Class 8. We have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have Fort Worth receiving trucks coming from the West Coast, and they love going from Dallas to Houston. They love going from Dallas down through Waco to Austin and San Antonio, and then they love the connection from San Antonio across to Houston. They refer the companies that are exploring this stuff, Jeff, like what you're talking about. They're calling it the Texas Triangle. They love the weather. They love the predictability of it. And there are a couple manufacturers that are just about ready to pull the human out of the cab. So the truck the tractor trailer truck, let's say the Class 8, 80,000 pounds plus, will drive itself on the road. So you can tell your employees and potentially the responders that their time is very limited when they will encounter a driverless truck that's disabled or involved in a crash or involved in a fire.
It's just kind of insane for me to think that we've got, like you said, 80,000 pounds plus rolling down a Texas highway with no driver. We've got, I don't know the technology, but we have the construction, we have detours, and I guess maybe this truck's a little smarter than I am. I don't know. But you're right. It's going to pose a challenge to us. Just think about that Tesla that catches on fire. And we hear about 30,000 gallons of water to cool these things down and put them out. And then as a tow operator, we have some other challenges because we've got to store these vehicles. We don't get any more money to store an EV than we do from a conventional automobile. And there's criteria for storing these vehicles. And again, there's some mixed answers on this. Some people say you need 50 foot around the stored vehicle. Some people say it's 100 feet. Everybody's trying to scramble to find a good way to store these vehicles. They're putting up the concrete barriers at their yard. That's a fire break. It's not going to keep them from catching on fire. And then that's even an issue there for a firefighter. If that was to catch on fire and they've got that thing thrown in there, the rear end with the front facing out, or whether it's the rear end facing out, we run into challenges because as a firefighter, you're taught to attack that fire from the side. Mm-hmm. And you're taught to do that for a reason. And can you explain why this is going to be a challenge on storage yards if we do storm like that?
You mentioned the 50-foot. The 50-foot came out in 2012 from the. It's called interim guidance. It is a document at NHTSA.gov, NHTSA.gov. There are 3 2012 and they've been updated to 2014 interim guidances, and they worked with National Fire Protection Association, and Jeff, they did come up with the 50-foot clearance in all directions. That's so 50 foot to the left and 50 foot to the right is where somebody might come up with a 100-foot. So that those documents, the interim guidance documents, NHTSA.gov, if you just search for them, there are 3 of them. One is specifically for tow operators and storage facility operators, and it talks about separate what they call separation. The documents are PDF files. They are completely free, and NHTSA.gov is just a great resource. You no longer can say that, well, my employees couldn't afford the training or didn't know anything about it, because the documents have now more than 10 years have been online and completely available. So that's where the 50-foot clearance comes from. So there are a couple different things, I guess, solutions or products. It all depends on how much money you have. Firebox is one thing. We have 2 Firebox. It's kind of like a roll-off dumpster that is specially designed for the vehicle, the burnt electric vehicle to be put in, and then water fill it up to probably about a 2-foot level. So you mentioned that the 30,000 gallons. We had an incident outside of Philadelphia where they used 28,000 gallons of water. We had that fatal crash in Spring, Texas, which is north of Houston, where they used 23,000 gallons of water. The National Fire Protection Association, in their training, they talk about a minimum of 3,000 gallons of water. So that's why fire departments have come up with things such as the fire blanket, kind of like a specially designed tarp that basically surrounds the vehicle on all sides. And the departments that use them, go for it. That's fine if you can afford it. There's a couple different varieties. The reusable ones have been a problem, but the usable ones, they talk about wetting them down. It doesn't put the fire out in the electric vehicle, but it does buy you some time. Let's say in a parking garage. They just had an incident in a parking garage, Jeff, in Illinois, where the fire department did use a fire blanket, but the tow operator drove his tow truck into the parking garage. It was at a mall, picked up the suffocated, the blanketed electric vehicle and brought it outside so the fire department could finish the extinguishment. That just happened a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks now. So everything from $40,000 down to $495. There are a bunch of different solutions that fire departments are using. If you're in an area where the local fire responders say, we don't have 3,000 gallons of water out in a rural highway or out on an interstate, well, then your challenge is it's going to be an extended, delayed response. A car fire, back in my time, a car fire was 30 minutes, lock, stock, and barrel, and the tow operator would come in, put the fire out. 30 minutes and we're over and done with. Now we're talking 3 hours to maybe 6 hours or so, and a lot of the volunteer firefighters are saying, I can't afford to be out here on the interstate for 6 hours in the middle of the night. I need to get home and get some sleep because I have to go to work in the morning. So the challenge of the lithium ion, the best story I can use, it came from a news reporter in Austin, and he said it was the first electric vehicle fire that the city of Austin had ever experienced. It was a Tesla, in that case, that crashed into a gas pump at a gas station. What an electric vehicle was even doing anywhere near a gas station, I don't get it. But the fire department came, put the burning electric vehicle Tesla fire out. The fire chief in charge of the crew in a face-to-face situation, mention to the tow operator, hey, I know you got here late. I get that. The fire is completely out. It's a burnt carcass over here on the side of the road. But when this vehicle, before you got here, this vehicle was well involved. The lithium ion battery, which is floor pan mounted, what was on fire. Sure enough, 5 hours later at the storage facility, the lithium ion reignited. So the news reporter doing the story, I love it. He said lithium ion plays possum. And that to me, that makes so much sense, because that's what happens. They'll put the fire out completely, think they have the fire out at the incident scene, and yet maybe at the storage yard up to 3 weeks. I just heard a story from an ATF guy, up to 3 months later, what they call stranded energy, the electrical current in the lithium ion battery that's misbehaving, causes it to short out and to have problems. So playing possum is a good kind of mental attitude to have for us as responders.
So you talked about parking garages. I've heard that there's parking garages. Some of the older ones, possibly up in New York, where you used to be from, or out on the East Coast, that are now not even allowing electric vehicles in the parking garage because they can't fight the fire.
Well, either they can't fight the fire because the parking garage, when it was built back in its day, wasn't designed for the fast burning electric vehicle fire. So maybe the structure isn't even designed to support it, or the fire protection system isn't designed. So if that's the case, I get that. I understand that, but that's also one of the challenges of electric vehicle fires. Here in Plano, we have parking garages with charging stations on the lower floor, ground level, where you have to go down kind of half a flight. We also have parking garages with charging stations for electric vehicles on the roof.
Oh man,
4 stories up in the air.
Would that not be a challenge? I guess that's what they make the big ladder trucks for.
Yeah.
So real quick, so our challenges as in the towing industry is with these vehicles after they've been involved in a crash, and there's several levels when you talk about a crash with an electric vehicle. It could be just simple body damage. The high voltage battery could be damaged. There could be a patient trapped in that vehicle. So as a firefighter, as fire rescue, it's your challenge. If it's an extrication, I believe these vehicles are made with cut points on them to allow for extrication.
Yeah, I would say no. If you have the ERG, or if you have the rescue card, rescue sheet, you have the schematic that shows some of the vehicles, the B pillar, the ultra high strength steel in the B pillar will come down from the roof line to maybe about seat cushion level, and then stop. That lower 10 or 11 inches is mild steel. I had an opportunity recently to cut up a Tesla Model Y, which is a 2022 model. It was one of the most difficult, because of the ultra high strength steel, it was one of the most difficult cutting extrication processes I had ever in my career been involved in. The car, it had no information that I could see, nothing to tell me where it was strong or where it was weak. And the challenge to the cutting tools was exceptional.
So, I mean, this is stuff that is, as a tow operator, we don't know about.
Right.
So even, it's like I said, it's a challenge for every discipline when it comes to these electric vehicles. I want to talk a little bit more about vehicle collisions, but real quick, I want to get a word from one of our sponsors, J&R Towing Accessories, a great sponsor for Southwest Tow Operators. So let's have a word from them real quick.
What's up, guys? This is David with JRDG Towing and Trucking Supplies. We are a towing supply company here in the Fort Worth area. We carry all types of towing supplies for your towing business. I'm the co-owner of JRDG Towing and Trucking Supplies, and we're also proud sponsors of Southwest Tow Operators. And if you guys want to reach us, give me a call or text at 469-508-3952.
again, a big shout out to J&R Towing Accessories. I want to jump back on this stuff because again, there's things that we don't know about, and when it comes to these collisions, when you've got a flatbed operator, the way we generally hook up a flatbed is there's hookup points on the vehicle. A lot of times, an operator's got to have his arm, hand underneath that vehicle. After this has been involved in an accident, what's the best way for an operator to keep himself safe?
There have in most cases you are safe just using what the ERG tells you from the manufacturer, or the quick response guide tells you from the manufacturer. It may not be using J hooks to hook onto the suspension. There may be the screw-in tow eye that screws into a hole in the bumper. So that really is make and model specific. So once again, I would recommend for the tow and recovery operator to check with the OEM through the app or through the ERG to see where they are. As far as reaching under the vehicle, I know of one case where things went sour and the vehicle, the high voltage discharged that would cause an electrocution issue. But that's the first time I've ever heard of that scenario happening. So essentially, it's two electrical systems. It's low voltage and it's high voltage. And as long as you're not touching orange, for example, 60 volts DC or greater, as long as you're not touching the orange stuff that you see on the car, you should be good.
So we got, he's hard on us. We got another question from David, David Mason. David actually happens to be my operations manager, and he has really dug into these EVs to try to keep our guys safe. He's got two questions for you. One, how much power is on the orange wire in a Tesla, and with Tesla advertised in an armored style glass, what hurdles does that present itself to our firefighters?
There is a U.S. law that requires traffic cone orange cables or sheathing or connectors if it's 60 volts DC or greater. I was up in Anchorage, Alaska, and did a program, and the electric vehicle had all purple wiring, high voltage wiring. And when the manufacturer came back, I said, "Why do you have purple and not orange?" It was 42 volts DC. So the manufacturer had specifically known what the US requirement was, 60 volts or greater, and had intentionally designed their high voltage system to run off of that. As far as the second part of David's question, the armored style glass, it really isn't armored. If you watch the Cybertruck demo, that was bogus. So it's laminated. It's the same glass you have in the windshield. So what I tell fire rescue is realize it's like the door window glass, which can be on any vehicle. It doesn't have to be an electric vehicle. It is designed to go down and up. So therefore it's really only attached at the bottom, not on the sides and not at the top, like a windshield might be. So I tell fire rescue, whatever tool or technique, whether it's chopping out or sawing out, whatever tool or technique you use today to remove the windshield of an automobile at a crash scene, you can use that same tool or technique to just cut across the bottom of the door window, which is the top of the door, the bottom of the window glass. And then you just bend it out and grab a hold of it and pull it down. If a fire rescue officer truly decides that they want to take that door window out, it's laminated safety glass, and the whole thing can come out essentially in one piece.
All right, there you go, David. You got your question answered.
The other thing, Jeff, is the high voltage batteries, up to 900 volts DC, up to 900 volts in the high voltage batteries. Tesla, typically, without talking about the Cybertruck, but typically Tesla is 400 volts. They started out, the older Teslas were 300 volts. They're 400 volts. 800 is a high end now, maybe 900 volts for the battery itself, for the stranded energy in the battery itself.
All right. you might be able to answer this one also. We got a question from Andrew Timkins. He says, "What about victims trapped inside the glass? Any way out? I know people have talked about if this vehicle has no power, there's no door handles. I mean, that's just another challenge that's posed to rescue guys?"
Yes, with one exception. Most electric vehicles, the inside door has a mechanical release. If they do the door handle twice, it will let the door mechanically open and release. But you have to already be inside the vehicle. The outside, the door handle might be flushed. In fact, a Mustang Mach-E, which is an electric vehicle, there are no door handles at all. It doesn't have any door handles right at the factory showroom. So you would have to physically be inside and operate the door handle. And if it's going to work, it'll be the front driver and the front passenger. If you're in the back seat, sorry, you're screwed. And with that laminated glass in the doors, there is no spring-loaded center punch or spring punch that will pop it like a normal window glass. So they may have to go to a different window opening. The driver's door may be laminated window glass. The driver's side rear door of that same vehicle may be tempered glass. The back window may be tempered glass. So the spring-loaded center punch or a sharp pointed object may help in a different window.
So, since we got some tow operators here, what's the best way to tow one of these Class 8s, Class 3, these commercials?
One thing to realize right off the bat when you're considering towing a large zero emission electric vehicle truck is the truck itself, the tractor, let's say, will be heavier because the weight of the battery is involved. So some of the state DOTs, motor vehicle bureaus, are already saying if you have an electric Class 8, we'll let you go over the 80,000 because your truck itself weighs more than normal. So that's one issue. I ran into a tow operator in North Carolina that actually told an electric vehicle owner, kind of a guy that really was into it, don't worry about it, I'll do it my way. He hooked onto the suspension system. He bent the suspension it was a Rivian, bent the suspension of his electric vehicle, just pulling it up onto the rollback, and it cost the tow operator and the company $20,000. So besides realizing that the vehicle could typically be heavier, look at the GM Hummer EV if you want an example of a heavy vehicle. Oh my gosh, what a monster! You might as well buy an Excursion if you don't care about the environment. So besides realizing that they can potentially be heavier, the tow operator, before they pull the vehicle up onto a car carrier or set it on dollies, in the ditch dollies, whatever, they better have checked with the manufacturer to find out how the manufacturer wants it not only pulled on, towed, but how the manufacturer, Rivian is an example, how they even are specific in how to secure it to the rollback. It cannot be changed. It has to be over the wheels, yada yada. So if you don't, the person that's their pride and joy baby that you just pulled away, their attorney is going to call you into a deposition and call the owner of the tow company and say, your operator messed up my client's baby, my client's electric vehicle, and you are responsible for correcting it. So if you do everything according to a document that you have in your hand, whether it came from an app or whatever, it came from the manufacturer, then you got something to fall back on.
Yeah, luckily enough, we've been privy to some information at my company. We've been Tesla certified for, I think, over 16 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, when they first started coming around this part, they contacted us, and they have provided us with a lot of information and stuff. Yeah. How many volts did you say that battery had?
It can have 300 volts. It can have 400 volts, and the latest one from Porsche has 800, and they're now looking at 48 volt on the low voltage, which is a Tesla Cybertruck. Their weird looking truck. It's a 48 volt, not a 12 volt, 48 volt low voltage, and 800 volt high voltage on the battery. So Porsche kind of pioneered the 800 volt. The car manufacturers love the high voltage. It's just taken them a while to get their tier one suppliers to supply a radio or a blower system that will work on 24 volts or 48 volts rather than work on 12.
So all that kind of voltage can do some serious damage to you.
Right.
And I think the key here is training. Whether you're a firefighter, whether you're a tow operator, the key here is training. And Southwest Tow Operators has got a great electric vehicle course that we're fixing to launch. Also, here probably in the next 24 hours, Ron has been kind enough. We're going to have the complete PowerPoint that he authored himself. It's got a lot of great information on it. You're going to be able to find that link on Southwest Tow Operators Facebook page, like I said, within the next 24 hours. And since we're talking about training, I want to shoot a little thing about Southwest Tow Operators and the training that we provide, and then we'll come back to Ron and that with a few more questions. You know, I've got a saying that I've come to really like. Training is knowledge, and knowledge is power. The Southwest Tow Operators has got a lot of really great training programs. Anybody interested, whether it's heavy duty training, light duty training, whether it's continuing education, stop by the website, check it out. If you're not a member of Southwest Tow Operators, you might want to check into that and the benefits that you're going to get being with a strong association like Southwest Tow Operators is. We got a problem with explaining to insurance companies that it costs more to handle these vehicles. And it's going to be a huge challenge moving forward, because how can you correctly store an electric vehicle? And we're not talking about the Class 8s. Wait till we got to start bringing those in and storing something like that that's been damaged. Wait till we have to start doing that. But you take somebody that uses, essentially what it's going to be is 100 by 100 to store a vehicle, one vehicle, and we're getting, $23 a day. I mean, so obviously we're going to have to do something about this, because it's not cost effective for us to take up the spot for 20 cars to store one vehicle. And this is what I keep talking about. I just don't think we're ready for this energy revolution in electric vehicles. It's kind of like they put the cart before the horse, There's just still so many unknowns. And I mean, what's your best advice, Ron? What
I'm seeing is if you follow the story from hurricane, the hurricane that hit Florida, where the vehicles were submerged, and the fire department was inundated with submerged in saltwater electric vehicles. That after the storm surge went away, they caught on fire. And NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety, has been involved in it. Was a great ABC News story about that. They showed like a drone view of the roadway leading into a storage facility. And over on one side, the vehicles were all parked side by side, door to door. And on the other side, they were all spaced out with the 50-foot clearance around. And the whole gist of the story was, not only does it take more water, not only is it more involved in the process, look at the real estate that it's taking. So that was a great story that talked about the reality for not only the tow operators. They actually had, Jeff, a clip in that video of an electric vehicle in Florida that caught on fire on the rollback. It had been put out, and in the loading process, it reignited, played possum, reignited on the rollback. So the tow operator requested an escort from the fire department to the storage facility, which is something that fire departments, we just don't do that. Go away, tow guy, go away. Just take the car and put it wherever you want. That's fine. We're going back to the station. Not anymore. It may now be more of a team effort where we have to physically request escorts of the fire suppression people. So the NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has purchased, I believe it was 21 of the electric vehicles that were saltwater flooded, and they transported them up to Oklahoma, and now they're going to do some burn tests to try to see. The thought might be with saltwater submersion, which you'd have in a coastline situation. With saltwater submersion, when the water dries, it crystallizes and shorts out contact A to contact B. It shorts out. So that may be part of the story that is ongoing. The real estate issue and whether you're able to charge the insurance company, I really don't know about that yet at this point. It's a work in progress, sir. It's a rabbit hole, and it's a work in progress.
I mean, do you see, I mean, everybody's, when it comes to an SOP, no, they don't even want to do it. Do you see something just like you talked about? Same thing happened in Conroe with the Tesla. And they put it out 4 hours to get this thing to cool down and get it out. On the way to the fire department did follow the tow operator, reignited before it got there. But do you see that being like a best practice coming in the future when it, like you're talking team effort? What's really cool, because we've got to that spot, I think now, where it's not you're the firefighter, you're the tow guy. I honestly think that we've really started working very well together. There's a lot of cross training going on between all the disciplines, and it just makes for a real fluid incident out on the highway. But I mean, do you see something like that being best practice here pretty quick?
Yeah, the current practice of fire departments that are not educated and don't understand or don't know the tow and recovery operator is, we'll do our thing in our little silo. You do your thing in your little silo. Let's not talk to each other, even though we walk by each other at the scene. And when you're done, you take the car away. You're the private one. We're the municipal one. So you do your thing. That's all got to go away. Jeff, one thing I noticed in your training, one thing that I would encourage your tow operators to get involved in, not only do that like they recovered that tanker truck, that's great training, but I'll tell you the other discipline that would be just as interested is fire rescue. So joint training between tow and storage facility operators and fire and the local fire rescue, whether the municipal or volunteer, that's a great way to break down the barriers. I tell fire departments in the past, we would get to the scene, do our thing, and then leave. Now it may be we need to stay there the whole time, whether we go last up or whether we just stay in service, subdued. We need to stay there. And even like you mentioned, we need to maybe even escort the electric vehicle all the way until that's when the call finally is over. That's when the call finally is ended. And it's different than what it used to be.
Yeah. Hey, can you explain to me what a skateboard is when we're talking about EVs?
Well, a skateboard is the front. It's the floor pan mounted high voltage battery that is in the middle. And it is how all the electric vehicles, not hybrids, but all the pure electric vehicles, passenger cars are put together. They have two wheels on each side of the front axle, maybe an electric motor, two wheels on each side of the rear axle at the rear of the vehicle, maybe an electric motor back there. And what holds the front half of the car together to the back half is what manufacturers call the skateboard. The manufacturers love the skateboard because all they have to do every year is just drop on a new body with slightly different headlight design or taillight design or body shape. But the platform is the skateboard. When a department, particularly a storage operator, wants to submerge a lithium ion battery, if they want to go the submersion, they really only need to submerge it to the point where the lithium ion battery, it doesn't have to be the whole vehicle, the lithium ion battery, which is typically below the floor pan, is underwater.
So you get that thing up to the floor, up to the like the rocker panel on the car. You've got that battery taken care of pretty much.
Yeah, yes, except Mitsubishi, which is Crapo vehicle. They're the only manufacturer that in printing will say how you're allowed to flood the vehicle or submerge the vehicle. All the other manufacturers, Tesla, Ford, everybody else says do not. So if it's in your protocol of your organization that you are going to flood up to a certain level, make sure it's not the operator that's at that scene making that decision. It's in corporate policy. It has to be bigger than the individual.
We were talking about submersions, and I shared a situation that we had myself. I mean, what if we've got a vehicle that's in the water? What's the best way for us to recover it?
All of the manufacturers have a section in the ERG on submersion. All of them agree that just go into the water. You will not. The electric vehicle in the water does not electrify the water like electric eel, you might think. So, and they all say hook onto the vehicle, pull it out of the water, open the doors, put it on an angle if you have to drain it, and then go about the whatever shutdown or extrication procedure. So the reality check for us as responders is all of the manufacturers' recommendations are fresh water, swimming pool, creeks, ponds, fresh water. So like where you are south of Houston, you get down where they have water that can be salt water. Nobody is really addressing that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens coming out of Florida because of Hurricane Ian.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, everybody that's watching, I don't understand. I know if you really understand who we have here. Ron's been working with tow operators for over 2 decades. Ron's worked with Tom Luciano, one of the big guys in the heavy recovery world for Miller Industries. This he's got a lot of knowledge. We're going to have that information on Southwest Tow Operators Facebook page, so you can view the whole PowerPoint. Also, you can always go to the website to University of Extrication. He's got a lot of great information on there. We're going to get that posted on the Facebook page. Real quick, I want to get another one of our sponsors in, and we're going to come back for a little closing. But I want to one of our sponsors, ADD, great supporter of Southwest Tow Operators. Let's give them a whirl and let's hear what Matt's got to say.
Hey, Matt Harvey here with Auto Data Direct. I'm the resident tow guy, so you guys see me around at a lot of these shows. Auto Data Direct, for those of you that may not have worked with us yet, we're going to be a opportunity for you to work with over 42 different state DMVs, pull owner, lien holder information direct from the DMV. So it's not stale data, it's not old records, it's brand new, fresh, instant access without you having to jump through hurdles or go down to the DMV. Beyond that, the integrations into the multiple different tow management systems, you can send notifications, handle all of that right there with your day-to-day operations, and you don't have to go anywhere else outside of that portal. We are a premier sponsor with Southwest Tow. Do a lot of work with them. Love those guys. Looking forward to exciting things to come in the future with them. If you want to reach us, you can get a hold of us, www.add123.com. You can get signed up, start up in that top corner, and be happy to get you all taken care of. Or you can reach me direct, mharvey at add123.com.
So I guess it's, coming into this EV revolution, training's going to be the big thing. Training, the information with websites like the University of Extrication, you do got some really great information on there. But without the training, without the knowledge of people like you, Ron, like I said, you've been doing this stuff for almost 55 years, man. This man knows what he's talking about. So check out the website. And just like I said, training is knowledge and knowledge is power. We all want to be safe. We all want to get home. And just know what we're doing out there. You got anything in closing for us, Ron?
Joint training, just the emphasis on joint training, because everything that tow operators do at a scene, snatch blocks, winches, for example, that should be of great interest to fire rescue people if it really is presented properly. So joint training, I would encourage you. There are ways that the local tow operator can be a great benefit to the local fire rescue, even EMS, even law enforcement. So the challenges are out there, and it's just the local tow operator realizing how can they best help the community that they work in or live in.
Yeah. I luckily enough, we're starting a brand new facility, lots of room. Already talked to all the local firefighters. We're already gathering casualties. Mm-hmm. We're going to do that cross training. They can get some stabilization training in there, extrication work. It's important that fire understands what we could do for them with the machines and the records that we're running now, like the rotators and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're magnificent machines. I've already envisioned this. An accident with an EV, maybe that's been sandwiched in between two vehicles, that body's bowed. We've got a problem with the skateboard or the high voltage battery where that thing, we got steel beds. We got steel beds on these flatbeds. So what happens if you were to take a compromised battery and try to run it up that steel bed? Might not be very good, but my beautiful wife is a retired barrel racer. We've got horses. So I actually have 1-inch rubber stall mats in the bed of my truck at all times, because I can seriously foresee having to send a rotator or a heavy out to literally pick that vehicle up and put it on top of that truck to transport it. That's where we get back into this. The insurance companies are going to have to understand what it takes to handle these vehicles on both sides, with fire rescue and with tow and recovery. It's just, they pose some challenges, but with people out there like you, training these people, the great training with Southwest Tow Operators. Bobby Tuttle's put together a great electric vehicle program. I can't wait to get that out, and everybody can take advantage of that. And again, we're going to have Ron's full PowerPoint on Southwest Tow Operators Facebook page. There's going to be a link there. It'll be there within 24 hours. I'm going to go on and shoot the link in there for University of Extrication. I think there's some things that would be a good read for a lot of people out there. Ron, I want to thank you for taking your time to help us out here and be on the show and answer some of the questions for us. I hope everybody's enjoyed the show, and maybe we can get some more questions, and maybe we can rope you into doing it again down the road sometime.
Yeah, just send me the ice cream and I'm in for a part 2. No problem.
Nutty Buddy, right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, that's going to be it for Recovery Alley tonight, folks. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Look for us on February 15th. Show's going to be with James Bennett with Baird's Towing. He was American Towman Towman of the Year in 2022. Also a recipient of the Masters of Chaos Award. We're going to talk about that 133 car pileup in Fort Worth back during Snowmageddon. So be safe, and remember, when you see our emergency lights activated on the side of the road, please move over or slow down 20 miles an hour under the speed limit so we can all go home to our families, folks. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you down the road a piece.